So no, you couldn't hear me because I muted it. Or did I? Can you hear me? Are we okay? That better? Are we good now? Are we alright? I don't know. Is that better? Let me know. Are we good? I still don't know if people can hear me. Can hear you now. Good. Fantastic. Okay, let's do the whole thing all over again. Good evening, all. Welcome in. Good evening to Calco, Socially Confused, Sloth, Monster AV, Shinobi Trip, Jammy Bugger, Ray Louderbeck, Blam Smith. Yeah, really good to see you all. Of course, I started with technical problems just because I felt like it was kind of very representative of 4.1, right? 4.1's having a lot of problems as well, so that was all in solidarity and entirely intentional. But good to see you all. So yeah, we shouldn't say anything next time. I would have kept going. Socially, I'm not going to lie. I absolutely would have kept going. But yeah, Calco's got himself a new HOTAS setup. So yeah, I'm glad that you're getting to grips with it. But yeah, all good. So yeah, a few things to talk about. So just a bit of a disclaimer. I might not be able to go the full 2 hours this evening, just because I have spent Saturday into Sunday up near London and a place called Ashted with some very good friends of mine, doing my very first game of D&D. Not only was it my very first game of D&D, it was also the game where the first time DMing. So I had to learn the whole system and then get other people to understand it too. And we were all drinking, which always complicates matters. So really good game, but I'm feeling a little bit exhausted. So if I get to the point where I'm not making sense, like more than usual, then I probably will just kind of end the stream and then go collapse into bed. Because, that. Hopefully the music is not too loud for you guys. It is incredibly loud for me, but we'll see. And unfortunately, the way I've got my thingy set up, it's not quite playing the way I need it to play. So let's kill the music a bit, shall we? There we go. I think it's pretty much gone for you guys, but I'm controlling it through OBS. For me, it's just like, la. Did I kill any of my players? No. So it took so long for people to kind of get to grips with their character sheets and all that sort of good stuff that we fought some zombies and we had a conversation with a bunch of kobolds and we had a conversation with a couple of the main characters in the opening chapter, and then one of the guys decided to get really gobby at someone they shouldn't have got gobby at, so it kind of derailed a little. So one of the things that I'm going to learn for the next session is how to deal with let's just say awkward players, and then leave it at that. Good evening, Jocko. Good to see you. So you kill any of your players just to set the tone. Dead. Yeah, definitely not. So the first session doing the shoots is tough. Yeah, so we actually started using one of the box sets. So the Dragons of Shipwreck Isle or something like that. It's one of the new starter boxes anyway. It's downstairs, so I can't kind of quickly grab it. So they've all got their character sheets and it explains everything. I just think people were I think they were kind of expecting to turn up to a board game night and not something necessarily quite so involved. I think they all knew what it was as an abstract concept, and it kind of was a bit of a struggle, But learned a lot about kind of, as a DM, your role in getting people involved and, kind of helping out with, when they're not doing as expected, having ways in the back of your head to kind of just at least give them the information that you want them to have so they can make decisions. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, murder hobos can be sorted out really quick with a mimic potion or suit of armor. And when I say mimic potion, the glass bottle is normally a glass bottle. The liquid inside is the mimic. That's gnarly, and a little bit scary. But no, it was all good. So unfortunately, 4.1 has landed. And I've not had much time to play at all. I did, however, have time to go in and discover that the Supply or Die event is in fact dead, and that I did not have enough points to get the skins for the ship. So I got the weapon, I got the little kind of hanger flare display stand thing, did not get the skins for the ships, which is the bit that I really wanted. But it's okay, because I knew that was happening, right? I knew that was going to be the way that it landed. It was my choice after rage quitting a little to then wait for the new stuff. So a little bit of a pain in the backside, you know, but that's the results of my own actions, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the music on in the background again. But yes, so looking forward to getting grips for 4.1, and I think therein lies the problem. So what I'm going to do now is I'm clicking rounding buttons. So there you go. I just broke the camera, didn't I? Good. That was absolutely me clicking the wrong button. Not. Oh, no, I have actually, in fact, broken it, which is a bit of a problem. So bear with me just a second. Good. That went well. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to switch. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Oh, I'm allergic to technical issues. This is going to be how it is, isn't it? This is just going to be how it is. Oh, excuse me. Oh, we got it for a second. Come on. That was me sneezing. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Not do that. So, hopefully, we're back. I can only hope. Let me know if you can see me again. So that's good. Oh, dear. Right. Are we good? Are we good? Are we bad? Like, what's going on? I'm back. I am indeed back. And good evening, Zavath. Good to see you. So yeah, 4.1 in Pyro is great, says Socially. So that's good news. Running smooth here. I'm pleased. And I might give it a go a little bit towards the end of the stream and kind of see where we end up and what it looks like. So that might be quite good fun. But we'll see. Let's do getting closer so then I can do that. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Kill bugs. Oh, of course. God damn it. Right. Let's apply it this time. And then it stays. There we go. Ta-da. Cool. Okay, so there we are. Yeah, pro stream again. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, all I've been able to kind of spot over the weekend is, you know, what I've seen very quickly on like the forums, what I've seen in various groups, what I've seen reported in Discord. So it's been a little bit interesting, to say the least. But what I might want to do just for a little bit is I might just start a quick poll and see, you know, kind of what you think in terms of performance, and kind of how it's been for you guys. So how has server performance been for you in 4.1? Because of course I haven't had the chance. So I've seen people reporting that like a lot of the old bugs are back. So things like, for example, the elevators not working again, not being able to get out of the hab blocks because the elevators won't take people down, people not being able to call their ships to get out of the hangars. So it's kind of interesting. You know, we'll have to see. But yeah, we'll go. So delivery missions on foot, says Blamsmith. That's interesting. 24k a pop, and you have to run like 500 feet. Are they all? Can you just keep doing that? Are they all in the same locations? Do they respawn really quickly? Because that'll be really, like, exploit worthy, right? People will be like, I can just keep doing this, ha ha ha, and that would be bad. But yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks very much like the servers are still degraded. They're still struggling. I've literally just opened this now. So degraded service across Persistent Universe and degraded service across Arena Commander. Now, what is interesting, and I'm going to try and find the video, and hopefully you won't hear the sound, but CIG, at least temporarily, are enacting a fix to this, which is interesting, to say the least. So I don't know if you saw a video over the weekend by a guy called Camurai, but I'm just going to hit the mute so it doesn't sound off while we're here. And if I get the chance, I'll bring it across if I can find the right bit, rather than using his whole video. So Camurai captured a moment in chat, in one of the Spectrum live chats, as a response. I think, I can't remember who it was from, but basically a response saying of a temporary fix. It was from Bolt as well. So I'll just bring this up now. Let's have a look. Here you go. Okay. So here's the fix. And what they've said is, oh, I didn't mean to kind of restart that, but let's go there. And then pause it. Lovely. Come on, there you go. Better. So this. So it says, the team has taken the decision to start lowering the soft and hard caps of active game shards temporarily while they continue investigating the source of some of the performance degradation that full population shards are hitting. The configuration changes will take a little while to percolate though, and fresh game shards will be created to account for the spread. So, again, a little bit of kind of, I guess, uptick in how many web services that they are bringing online to, you know, more servers to cover the same amount of players if you lower the cap. So interesting. You know, I kind of get this. I understand this as a response. You know, I think the point here is that, you know, it says temporarily while they're investigating the source. And then, good evening, Luna Maria. Good to see you. You know, if we then go back to what we saw before, so no, go back to that one and close. So we can see there that they're actually, you know, preparing a hotfix ready to go out. So hopefully that'll fix things for us. But yeah, so hotfix is being prepared to correct multiple issues identified after patch deployment of SC Alpha 4.1.0. The leading cause of severe delays has been identified, so at least they're on it. They know what's going on. You know, they're kind of identifying what the issue is. So yeah, we're kind of getting there, right? They seem to be kind of moving on the problem and getting some sort of traction, which is pleasing. So at least they're managing to do that. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, I must admit, like, I got back mid-afternoon today. What was really cool is my friend drove me down, and he had his 4-year-old with him, so we kind of took the 4-year-old to the park, and that was all really cool. But I must admit, given what I've seen over the weekend and just how tired I was, because it's daylight savings times now, so whatever time zone you're in, if you are not in UK time, the start time today will be the start time going forward. We've just had our clocks go forward an hour, so we lost an hour's sleep overnight. And then, unsurprisingly, you know, kind of 4-year-olds are very active early in the morning. So, yes, not a lot of sleep overnight, so I'm feeling it a little. I crashed on my favourite place in the house, the couch, when I got back and just watched Tron Legacy, because I'm a nerd. So, yeah, that was good. So I played it some yesterday and the day before, Shadow Girl says, and I feel like performance is generally bad in Stanton, much better in Pyro. Other than desync and lag, I feel like things are working well. Aussie servers seem to be everyone's favourite, says Luna Maria. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a bit pants. But yeah, server hopping obviously always a fix to this sort of stuff, and trying to get to something that actually works. Um, I guess we just drive into this now, right? The thumbnail says 4.1 impact. I think the big thing that I'm taking away from this, I'll just go back to full face for a second. I think the thing that I'm taking away from this is a little bit of frustration on my part that what I would have liked, and you guys have not heard, this is not the first time some of you will have heard me say this. This is supposed to be stability. I get that the previous patch, 4.0.2, you know, they might have been rolling in a lot of things that, you know, and getting to grips with stuff. So immediate fixes were not necessarily what we could expect. But the first patch, I would have just liked to have seen it fix stuff. If what we had would have been, you know, a lot less new stuff, but now consistently nodes work, ships can be salvaged, missions hand in, you know, that sort of stuff. Even if it's 85% of the time, like, that would have been a massive improvement over where we are at the minute. And I think the problem is that, you know, and the problem is, as I'm talking, I think about how people are going to react to it, because I try and think about the things that you might say in the chat, and I also think about things that people who watch later, who might not be kind of as invested as the conversation you and I are having. I think about what comments they're going to leave on the video, and I can hear this, right? So I'm about to say, the problem is with CIG is at the moment they're saying one thing and doing another, and you know, and I know that, you know, the comments are going to be filled with people who not normally hear, oh, yeah, CIG always do that. Slow clap for you. No, shut up and go away. You know, I think here the problem is that, you know, yes, that's probably true historically, but I think we need to give people a chance when they say that they're going to change and do things. You at least give them a chance to prove that they are. And the problem here again is that the focus has kind of been on new stuff. It's like, we're going to fix things, and what we've got is the server that's been running fine. Well, I say fine, but the server that seemed to be getting into like kind of a good base back in 3.24 and whatever else, now running not very well. And I did say last year that after server meshing, you know, we were going to have to be prepared for, I'm just going to pause the music for a second because that's really distracting now. We were going to have to be prepared for things to break. Server meshing was going to get worse before it got better, and, you know, we were going to have bits where it felt like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's not the bit I have a problem with, right? It's the fact that they appear to be saying that it's going to be stability, and then we've got new big events with new locations, new mechanics, new monsters, creatures, I guess you call them, monsters. You can tell I've been playing D&D over the weekend, can't you? You know, that sort of stuff. And it just feels to me like they've said that they're going to focus on that, and then they've not done it. And it just, I get a little bit frustrated. You know, just because it does become harder and harder to... I want CIG to succeed. I want Star Citizen to be a great game. I want it to be the game that kind of changes not only how, you know, what we do with our time and all that, and, you know, become this game where you're just like, I could live in this universe, but also the game that makes the rest of the industry stand up and take notice and see that actually what we want are games that are delivered correctly and to spec in the end, rather than just pump and dump, you know, rubbish kind of, it's Modern Warfare 27 and this one has 48 gun sights instead of 36. It's like, really, that's the innovation that we can get now, is it? That's how we impress gamers, as it were. You know, obviously there's a huge amount of support for Star Citizen. There's a huge amount of support for Star Citizen because, you know, we're almost up on, I don't think we're there yet, but we're almost up on, what, 800 million? I don't think we're quite there, but we're almost there. So that's kind of a little bit crazy, frankly. So, you know, there's a lot of support from the community, that's fine. But, you know, I think we know with any MMO, part of the lifeblood of it is not just a great gameplay experience, you know, keeping people occupied, but it's new blood, and I don't feel like they're there yet. So yeah. Good evening, Jadoma. Good to see you. I think SC has lit a fire under Elite as they seem to be picking up the pace as of recent. Yeah, so they've got they're doing all this planetary stuff, aren't they? So you can kind of go and colonize planets and things like that. So yeah, they're picking up that sort of nonsense. So yeah, because I can't remember where we are now with the funding. I think we're only a few mil short, aren't we, of 800? Funds raised 799,122. So we are less than, you know, we'll hit that in the next. Judging by that, we'll hit that in the next 36 hours. Looking at the graph, 36 to 48, I would imagine. So yeah, kind of crazy. 800 million spent. Yeah. Cherry Girl says, not seeing any issues with missions so far this patch. It's just the overwhelming lag and desync, but she has seen some flight and UI bugs. Yeah, and then Jadomo says, hopium for Monday hotfix. I think that's the other thing as well. And someone raises a really good point in Spectrum. I did the dumb. I went onto Spectrum. And you all know what I think. Spectrum gives you the dumb, right? That's how it works. One of the things that we kind of saw, one of the comments that I saw that was really good was, you know, we're working on stability and yet we are still releasing patches at the end of the week. And I know you get more players, but, you know, you're still going to get people in the evenings and all that sort of stuff. People are still going to be around to do that. You might not get as high a peak, but you will still get a lot of people testing it. And they kind of need to do that so that when the weekend rolls around, they've got more people working to do that stuff. Because I don't think any of us want them to have, like, you know, be forcing devs to work over the weekend as well as during the week. So just do it during the week when you know the guys are, you know, do it at the start of the day. The first office to wake up will be Frankfurt. You know, do it, launch it as Frankfurt goes live. And then, you know, an hour later, maybe 2, UK comes online. They're getting on with the fixes, and then, you know, hours later you get Canada coming online, so that, you know, and then the US. So there's plenty of time to be doing that. To be releasing it at the end of the week, again, it just strikes a rush. Gotta get stuff out. And then that stuff is new locations and you know, things that I go a little bit questionable. Don't get me wrong, the kind of the new missions look really cool. I'm not excuse the language, I'm not bitching about the new content. But if your focus is going to be stability over new stuff, then make your focus stability over new stuff. Don't just say it and then go, haha, I've rushed all this stuff out. Good evening, Notorious. Good to see you, my friend. So, Bummersmith says, seems to be watching at a distance that the patch releases are somewhat controlled by ship sales still. Yeah, you're not wrong there. So, yeah. Players must love the new system, as apparently with the Trailblazers updated release on the 26th of Feb, there's always been 20k new systems populated. Oh yeah, so that's in Elite. Yep, absolutely. Judomo says, it's the annual here's a Christmas patch goodbye into the second week of January that bugs me every year. Yeah, lots of that. And I think the other bit as well is the kind of, you know, the gaps in the content that comes through YouTube and the updates from CIG, they have felt exceptionally light this year. Exceptionally light. You know, it's also around this time that I'd be expecting to see something about CitizenCon. That's not kind of happened yet. So we're kind of in a place. Star Citizen is in the chat. Good evening. Good to see you. The new ship isn't tied to the update. It just seems to be something that early player testers, or what you call it, can fly around in. Obsidian Ant has a video on it. Yeah, I tend to stay away from Obsidian Ant stuff. I think there's a lot of kind of subtle bait in his stuff, so I tend to stay away from it. But yeah, um, yeah. So interesting to see though. So onto the new mission then. Just gonna jump across. So yeah, so here we are. The new mission stuff, the 4.1 page, out on the RSI website. Oh well, I'll be cleaning that up later. Um, Star stuff. You picked the wrong time to walk in there, bud. Sorry, I am nursing a cold, and I've got all sorts of medicines that are now on the floor, along with a can of drink that is now half a can of drink. It's fine. It didn't spill that much. There's no one coming out, so I'll sort it out in a minute. Um, but yeah, it just it's a bit rubbish at the moment. Cold and stuff. So apologies that I'm snotting all over you and sounding really gnarly, but you know we'll get there. So yeah, so for those, I mean, in case you've been living under a rock and haven't seen it, there's a couple of new locations. There's the Orbital Assault mission, which has a ground alignment station and an orbital mining station, both run by the Hathor Group. You go to the ground station, you align the satellite or the dish. You go up to the station with some of the objects that you brought, you power up the station, you fire the mining laser from a bunker back down on the planet, and that's kind of the thumbnail. That's the third location that's been added, right by the mining site, and then you go and collect all the good stuff that's there. And of course, you know, the juvenile Valakar, which have been added, are, you know, they're attacking you and all that sort of stuff. So quite a good looking and involved mission. It's interesting that's coming in Stanton and not Pyro, which kind of helps with the kind of PvP element, and people just sat around waiting to gank people rather than actually getting involved in the new stuff. You know, there's always going to be an element of people out there who are just whatever else is going in the game, they don't care. They just need the focal point to go and then get into people's face. So, yeah, we'll see. Um, Is the big space laser mining linked in any way to the Balu furnace, says Blamsmith? Yes, it is, actually. It really kind of is. So, a lot of the Wicklow, I think he's called. Wicklow is the Banu. He's the first alien in the game, and he has an emporium just outside of Yella. You'll find kind of, I mean, a fair way. It's not in Yella's orbit, but it's basically kind of like a remote asteroid base, except it's not hostile. You go there, there's a bunch of hangars. I think they're all extra larges, and you kind of land in. And at one end there's like a huge hologram of his face. I'll go and show you. In fact, I think I got some video of it somewhere. I can bring the video up, and we'll see what that looks like there. Let's have a look, because I kind of ran around as well. So maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to find that and. Let's have a look. I got lots of kind of small mood shots, and then I think I might have got one or two that were like lengthier, running around and just taking a look. Then again, according to this, I might have deleted them. But yeah, so basically the hangar that you spawn in looks something like this, or the hangar that you arrive in, and you run in. It's, you know, as of the PTU test, you know, wave 4, you could just go in and run around, and there's all that sort of stuff in it. That's where the combatless was found and all that stuff. So yeah, that was me running around, and basically in there in the hangar, I don't know if I got an image of it or not. You'll see things kind of like this, and I don't know if you can see that kind of. There's a banner that basically says you can get this item for this level of stuff. And the items are things like this. So skinned guns, I don't know if you can see that quite, but on the right there, just out of shot, is give me 10 of these, 5 of these, 10 of these, and 1 of these. And some of those items are the items you need to collect. Some of those are items that are only available through the mining mission. So yes, Basically, some of the new gems and stuff. Some of them might also be some of the new minables, but some of them weren't mentioned on that list, so they look to be only the ones you can get through the kind of Hathor mission. So yeah, that's all that stuff, and obviously they got the video, and then with that came the ATLS GEO and the Drake Golem. We had a look last week, but there has been an FAQ now, I think, for at least some of it. Some interesting details on the Golem that we weren't sure about when we last spoke. So yeah, Golem, one-seater, no real interior to speak of, just the cab, slightly less cargo, and what's interesting is the... why does my brain just fail every single time? So the mining head is bespoke. There we go. That's what I was trying to say to you guys. The mining head is bespoke, and it is slightly less reliable than the one on the Prospector. So it doesn't have quite the power. But you can still add the modules to it, so you can still kind of try and improve it and make it either more reliable or able to crack a little bit more. So yeah, ventriloquist badges for a moment. All good again now. Yeah. Sorry about that. Firebrand, good evening, buddy. Yes, I am indeed a drinker with gaming problems, and that's why my brain fails me. You're not wrong. So yeah, hey Christ, good to see you. Giant ants would be cool. Yeah, I mean that they did at CitizenCon. They did a sketch of a lot of the animals, and there's a couple on there that look really, really interesting. So that's good. Showing says, oh yeah, people have been complaining we don't have the Banu Merchantman, and now. And now we do. We have Wicklow. He is a Banu merchant. You are entirely correct. Although I don't think that's going to quiet the whiners. Yeah. So... yeah, so the buffering shouldn't be a problem anymore, Calco, because I'm now on gigabit, so everything's showing loads of bandwidth and no real problems. So hopefully it'll clear up for you, Bob, whatever the problem is. I thought I didn't like mining, said Shinobi. I spent 4 hours in the Golem last night. It turns out I just didn't really like MISC. I can get that, 100%. What they have to cut on the Golem to make it work, or upgrade to the mining laser to mine through hull instead of rock. So yeah, so basically that's that. I think the cargo is slightly more than the MISC Prospectors because it's the 16 SCU containers times 2. But yeah, and there's a personal storage weapons rack, I think, which is actually outside. But yeah, not a bad looking ship. If you're into the Drake aesthetic, I know there's a couple people in chat who have got really upset at me saying that, but you know, wop wop. Yeah, there's that. And then I'll go and find the FAQ in just a second. In fact, let's do that now. Comlinks. Oh no, it was the... oh, we got one on both. Exciting. Cool. So, from the Golem then. Yeah, I mean, I get the Golem thing. Golems being stone golems and stuff. So where does the Golem fit into the scheme of things? I'll try and zoom in a little bit so you're not kind of doing the... oh my god, what's going on? But the Golem is a true starter ship in size and scope, providing a bare essentials entry point to the mining gameplay loop. While previous ships, such as the Prospector, were the initial entry point, they were ships people could upgrade into to try out the gameplay, rather than the start of the experience. Though capable, there are limitations with the Golem in terms of upgradability to offset its lower price entry point. Which makes sense, right? If you're going to set something this much lower than the Golem, than the Prospector, there has to be drawbacks. And lack of interior, lack of bed, lack of, a substandard mining head. I get that. So yeah, the Golem's price is amazing for a Star Citizen ship. And I think that's the point, socially, is that whilst people will have problems with certain elements of it, and I'm not poo-pooing that at all, the big thing for me is if they can make, if you want to go and start fighting, you can do it in an Aurora. You can do it in one of the base entry ships. To set the entry point into an industrial thing at $150 or whatever the Prospector is coming in at now, $175 for the salvage, and whatever the fortune is, that's quite high. So I would expect, hopefully, to see something similar in this vein, in maybe from maybe an Argo Mini one, a salvager, but something that comes in at this price point as well. I don't ever have a problem with them making things more accessible and less money to people, as long as it sits quite nicely in capability. It's not like this is only slightly less capable, but it's $100 cheaper. So yeah. To keep the Golem family at the lower end of the budget spectrum, it does away with luxuries such as a walkable interior with living quarters. This also gives those that do not want to spend more time in a mining career a suitable upgrade path into ships that do have interiors. So yeah, I think this was a natural kind of step up, which is good. So Socially says, back to the Wikello stuff. I'm waiting a few weeks to do the new event and Wikello stuff. I want it to settle down. Too many people doing that stuff. Yeah, and it does become like a just a PvP hotspot again, because I think there's two, isn't there? There's one on Aberdeen and one on Daymar. So you've got two spots in the entire verse. You go to either, you're guaranteed to get some combat at some point. So yeah. I need to try Golem mining. Love the Geos socially. Nice. The Golem is small enough to include in most large ship holds for me. That's exciting to see. I'd love to see an overpriced, over-engineered, beautiful Origin miner. It's beautiful miner. That's the bit where I get stuck. It's not necessarily the manufacturer. It's the idea of a beautiful miner. It doesn't ring true. Golem is cool, but in my opinion, the Vulture is the most successful recent Drake design. I really like the Vulture, and I know it's very similar to other designs out there. No new ideas under the sun and all that. But I've got a Vulture, and I'm very happy with it. In fact, my Vulture at the moment is the ship that I do bunkers in, because so many people leave their ships at bunkers. I'm getting 2 or 3 bunkers with a bunch of loot and a bunch of salvage as well, so that's been quite good fun to see. I'd like to see a Gatak miner, says Jodomo. That, or something Raylan. Yep, absolutely, that would be awesome. The Golem doesn't look like it should survive planetary re-entry. Was that the primary buffer panel? Did the primary buffer panel just fall off my ship? Bonus points if you know what that's from. It's essentially a 32 SU container with engines on the side and a cockpit on the front. Yeah, literally just a Drake ship, right? RSI is going to have a starter salvager, but it's still in concept. Nice. Yeah, an RSI salvager is an interesting design as well. As long as it doesn't just look like a baby Perseus. There are better things you can do with a baby Perseus. Starstuff says, hope you feel better soon, Badges. Honestly, though, that runny nose and scratchy throat could be useful for your entry in the Vandal Interpreter contest. Just saying. Yeah, it's going to make that really easy, right? The, yeah, all that stuff. But yeah. What's really bad, I'm going to regret doing this on camera, but I'm going to do it anyway. Jamlak, I'll leave it alone, is the Boss Nass from from Star Wars episode, whatever it is. Use a nose that think and use a better than the Gongons. Last bit was a bit high. It's like this. Yeah, I'm never doing that again. That's your only one. Keep it and enjoy it. There you go. There is no primary buffer panel. It has like no panels. Yeah, that's it. I think what was really interesting about the Golem. Yeah, shut up, Jadome. I think the bits kind of, I don't, you can't quite see them from that, but the kind of cover on the top of it, bloody camera. The covers on the top looked very Argo. Like all you've got to do is color them orange and it's an Argo. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jabba's ho. You waiting a while, Firebrand, I'm afraid. I have not practiced that one, and I'd have to do that on screen. I'd have to do that off screen, rather. All sleek cabs and white panelling only marred by the odd streak of ore dust. You've never seen me mine, Calco. You've never seen me mine. Bunkers are free real estate for a vulture, best times. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good way of making some cash. Anyway, looks like it was constructed in a garage. Looks like it was constructed on a kid's toy bench, if I'm being honest. But that's the Drake aesthetic, and it's not a criticism. That's kind of cool. So there's a personal storage locker accessible from the outside of the ship near the cab, which is what we thought. So the Golem features a strong array of maneuvering thrusters, with some incorporating a maneuverable lateral structure for VTOL. So, in other words, we know that they talked about the atmospheric flight model and how hovering for long periods of time was going to be, you know, very taxing on a ship's engines, and you'd basically get to this point where the temperature would be creeping up, and you'd then overheat and have to rely on aerodynamic properties to regain flight. And this thing is about as aerodynamic as a post office, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, it says here, while the overall maneuverability is average, enhanced strafing, precise positioning. So yeah, it's basically going to be able to hover for longer, as you would expect for something that needs to hover a lot. So yeah. It very much reminds me of the MPUV. Yeah, there's definite Argo vibes to this. Definite Argo vibes. So yeah, doing the ventriloquist thing again. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that's fun. The Golem has slightly more firepower than the Prospector. Interesting. Alongside the same size number of pilot control guns, the Golem benefits from a pair of size 1 missiles. While not enough to be truly combat capable, it'd be enough of a deterrent to allow owners to get away from attackers relatively easily. Interesting. Interesting. Why not? A brick has better drag number than the Golem will probably have. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, classic Drake means no ejection seat. It means just step out of it. Start flying backward and step out. And hope that they've had parachutes at that point. Size 1 radar, no special scanning capabilities, not surprised. So this is the bit that's really interesting if you haven't read this already. Mining head is bespoke to the Golem and not interchangeable with other mining heads. However, it does have slots for mining modules, as I said earlier on. So yeah. The mining laser is bespoke, so unlike the Prospector of the Mole, it won't be able to swap out. The mining laser itself is one of the most powerful ones presently in the game. Of course, it comes at no resistance mitigation or instability counter. So yeah, so you've got more power to use, but you're going to struggle with the kind of instability and all that sort of stuff. And then it's got a slightly larger green zone to account for the skill gap of new players. So yeah. Can the mining be swapped out? Nope. Can the mining laser be used as a weapon? It does cause damage to targets while fired. Great. The Golem storage pods are built to the same metrics as SCU containers, so will stack appropriately. So that answers the question about refineries and stuff like that. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head where the expanse is with an internal... the internal grid, whether the expanse will take anything like that, I don't think it does off the top of my head, but I might be wrong. I'm sure someone in chat will correct me and be able to look it up. But yeah, that answers the question of how do you get that into something like an expanse. But I guess again, being close to the being likely close to the surface, and all that sort of stuff. I don't know why that idea is in my head. Why is that idea in my head? Why have I got the idea that this is more of a surface miner than anything else? I don't know. Surface areas are smaller, right? As in, if you go look at the asteroid belt within Stanton, and then look at the surface of a planet, you've got far more places to hide in the asteroid belt than you have on the surface. So why have I got that idea in my head? I don't know. I'll think about it. So the Golem storage pods are bespoken, not interchangeable, unsurprisingly. Can you detach your storage pods for a speed boost? No, they don't quick detach, but they do have mass. So if you know that something's happening and you detach them outside the ship, then yeah, you'll get it. But there's no like quick release. Bombing with 16 SCU containers. So yeah, good evening, Pilgrim. Good to see you, my friend. The only things I wish it had was a gimbal mining head and a bigger boost time. Yeah, that. So again, these drawbacks will be why it's so cheap. I got a couple of Golem on a Caterpillar. That's just the worst name. Like, it's the best name because it makes sense, but it's also the worst name. Would make a great mining operation. You're not wrong. It'll also be really interesting to see how many you can fit in the hangar section of the Galaxy with the refinery on it, because I think you'll be able to actually transfer that into the refinery from those containers. So that it'll be really interesting to see how this synergies with the Galaxy. Synergizes. Are the storage pods stored mining materials? Are there any plans to make them compatible with general cargo? Nope. Can players vent unwanted ore? Nope. Are there starter industrial ships like the Golem planned? And this is where you were saying the RSI salvage ship. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, an RSI beginning salvage. Like, the only reason I wouldn't go for that is because I've got the the Vulture. But yeah, that's an interesting kind of if they're compatible. Yeah, exactly that. Although I would very much be surprised if they weren't. If you can't put standard SCU crates full of ore into a refinery, especially one big, like I get it with the Expanse, because the Expanse it looks like it's more designed to go out and operate directly with those ships. You know, something like the Galaxy with its own dedicated hangar bay, you would expect it maybe to be able to take on more than just like small mining pods. But you might be right. Absolutely. See pretty much Clarkson's power with May's Clarkson. Yeah, exactly that. Clarkson. Absolutely. Only problem with the Golem is that you can't eat and drink in it. Yeah, that. Maybe that's why I think it's more of a planetary miner. Although that's a stretch. Don't know why pilots for the Golem don't just rig up a string and pin system to attach the bags. I mean, yeah, it's containers. That's probably why, because if you've got a string and pin system for a 16 SCU container full of ore, it's got to be, that pin's going to be huge. And then the Atlas GEO, an interesting addition to the ground vehicle fleet for a couple of reasons. But yeah, not least the boost, and not least some very cool videos of these things beginning to like appear as kind of like dropship, almost like prepare for Titanfall sort of stuff. So yeah. What I really like here is this picture on the side, just above my head. I'm just going to move myself very quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's pop myself around the other side here. So now the other side. Oh, I didn't take the frame with me. Oh no. Oh, I've broken it. Oh dear. Right, let's put myself back. There we go. Grand. Now let's grab that. And let's move the whole thing. Ta-da! Okay. They have been fun dropping in Titanfall style. Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. I like these little SCU boxes that are being put in. Because people are like, where have they gone? The missions have disappeared for them. Are they coming back? Clearly, they were always going to come back because they put them on the mule. You've got the shelf for them. But I like now this kind of synergy of having a mule with a bunch of them, and then having an SCU container that eventually you'll be able to put these things into as well, and like being able to have this working with a mule or two, a bunch of these, and just using that. That's kind of cool. So yeah, its cross section is under 1K, says Chris. Nice. It's nice that we can move the gems from the box into our backpacks and just keep going. So socially, yeah, that's really cool as well. Thoughts on the Rockfall paint only available with the Golem starter pack, not sold separately. I'll have a look in just a second, Citizen, but I have a feeling I know what my thoughts are going to be. So yeah, interesting. A lot more mobile, as you would expect, because you'd expect these to operate a lot further away from the ship. It's a gameplay choice then to have the cargo Atlas, the hauler Atlas, I guess you would call it, moving cargo from ship to location or back again. This obviously you expect these to operate a little bit more remotely, and that makes a lot of sense. What's really interesting about this is the size 0 mining head. As we know, the gems and some of the ores now are going to be broken down, so hand mining will have its own selection of materials that you can only get through hand mining. Same vehicle mining. Vehicle mining has its same selection that you can only get through vehicle mining. So yeah, there's those two bits. The Atlas GEO obviously can switch between the two, and that's quite cool. Anything that adds that sort of versatility is really, really useful. Sure, people will be like, yeah, but I carry hand miners and stuff. But, this is going to be, I think, quicker than doing it with like a multi-tool and stuff. People bringing dedicated mining rifles, if that's what we end up getting, like the tractor beam gun and the Cambio salvage rifle. This takes up one less slot in the weapon rack or some less space somewhere. So I think that's probably a better way to go. Why do I suddenly have a thought of the mech from the Matrix and the reload system from that on this? Well, it'd be interesting because I think we're going to see a little bit later on one of the mechs, the combatless. We'll have a chat about that because I put a short out about that and I got a lot of. It seemed to upset a lot of people, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit as well. So yeah. So great mining mechs, a Thunderhead paint, great. Let's have a look at the starter pack. Atlas GEO pack. Is it the... So which was the paint you asked me about? The Golem starter pack. Okay, is that what it is? So it's in the starter pack. Oh. Are they not listing it on here then? Is it only... They've not actually put the starter pack here. It's somewhere else, is it? Great. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Rockfall stuff, you know, I don't like pay gating that sort of stuff. I'm never a fan of it. So yeah, it's not my favourite notion that they pay gate stuff like that. So, but yeah, they are what they are, right? I think I've got the Monsoon paint, which is the blue one, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, paints are paints, and I'm in game for the love of God. You know, or if they're limited, put them in your buyback. It's that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly that, Shadow Girl. They need to bring more paints into the game for in-game purchase. 100%. That's what they need to do. Sitchin Ninja says, I'm tempted to grab the duo paint to send to my alt account, but there's probably going to be a trio pack when the combat mech releases too. Interesting, because Ninja, that's where we're going to go in a little while. Just talking about that one. I got one with credit. Didn't really like that they didn't come back. They don't come with hangers, so you can't use them as tokens. You can't get them. You can't use them as tokens. I thought you could. Not sure, Avie, but yeah. So yeah, that. In fact, before we go back to that, I'm just going to skip through very quick. Go back to this very quickly. Let's just go and find the explore. Let's go find the Q&A on it and see what they've got to say. So the Atlas GEO then. The Atlas GEO can mine both, so FPS and ground vehicle minables. That's what we said before, right? Can I swap out the miner for mining laser for salvage head? You can swap it out for other mining lasers. Salvage attractor beams are not compatible though, so it doesn't look like this is going to become a variant. You know, like the Avenger Titan, the Avenger Warlock. There was talk a while back that they would end up becoming the same thing, and you would have an Avenger, and it would just you would switch the modules out in the back. I don't know if that's still the plan, but this is clearly not the plan with this one. How does the backpack work? The backpack's container needs to be bought and replaced once full. So awesome. So they're now introducing this idea of, you know, not just magically generating them like the Vulture and the Prospector does, although that makes sense, right, that they would generate them, because otherwise it would be a pain to kind of juggle stuff coming out and then refilling the filler. And I guess it can craft, right, so it's using the materials that it's got to craft the new containers. Do the mining laser and jump pack consume any form of fuel? So the jump pack has a thrust meter, which we saw them demo in the video, and it will be powered by a battery. Again, that's obviously waiting on the resource network stuff and the ability to recharge those. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's some very interesting artwork kicking around from a long time ago. But one of them includes this sort of charging station sort of artwork, which is very interesting. So yeah, I'm just going to grab this one. So this is on Twitter. The idea of a charging station / kind of maintenance station. So yeah, there's all that sort of stuff kicking around as well. So yeah, we'll probably be waiting on that tech as well as everything else, I would imagine. What a shock. I mean, it's so rare in Star Citizen to say waiting on none of the tech, right? How high can the ATLS GEO jump? It's not that high. Okay, so once the jump pack kicks in, players can reach heights of up to 15 meters in a 1G environment, or arrest their fall. Can't change direction in the air, but you can turn, as in turn the facing of the GEO. None of the Atlas power suits function in space, which is interesting. I suppose physics-based it would, right? But that's that. Can the Atlas be equipped with a jump pack? No. The base Atlas does not support the backpack that houses the jump pack. So, yeah. So that's the base one. No jumpable. What do you call it? No jumpable base Atlas. Power suit. The Atlas power suit. This is interesting. So the Atlas suits are now destructible, although killing one will give you a crime stat 3 homicide charge. Because apparently they're now sentient. They're living beings, and you can kill one. Which is a bit daft. I don't know who it was in Discord that mentioned that they managed to get a crime stat from their kit destroying their own Atlas suit. A homicide charge. But thanks for the heads up. Now I can tell everyone else. They have a pulse too, so socially. Abterix, good evening. Good to see you, my friend. He says, the Tally Q&A, if I recall, mentioned a charging module for Titans. With the size of the suits now, I don't know if it would work. Had hope for smaller, compact versions for FPS bunker use, but I don't know now. Yeah, I think the problem with... So the problem with, I think, Titans for bunker use is that the way I think it's going to work with Titan suits... and this isn't, there's very little military in this. This is just a gameplay perspective. So the front's going to be very tough, as you would expect, right? In the same way that tanks, real-world tanks, have strong frontal armor. Yeah, everything's got stronger front armor. I think what's going to be important is you get around the sides and around the back, and you then hit the more vulnerable parts. And it means that you can't just go and attack people in a group of Atlas suits. You're going to need to kind of do this combined arms, support the Atlas suits with infantry. They walk into the way to fire, and then they've got infantry pushing up behind them to keep other infantry away. And then the main thing you have to worry about in your Titan suit is people with railguns or grenade launchers or missile launchers, that sort of stuff. The problem in the bunkers is you don't get that maneuverability as someone trying to engage them. So, you could stand on the elevator to one of the underground bunkers, and there's just nothing the players can do. Because there's always a choke point in these bunkers. You could stand on the stairs, and if the players are below you, they just can't get past you. They can't get around you at all. And they're just going to walk into a size 1 or potentially 2 size 1 vehicle weapons. There's no balance. So I think potentially they are big enough that they are supposed to interact poorly in those bunkers. I think that's the reason that's happening. It's not to say you won't, I think maybe breaching shields or something like that might work, and the idea of getting a grenade and being able to knock them down before attacking them, something like that might work in bunkers, but the whole Atlas suit is significantly scary. So yeah, can you imagine, just kind of coming down in a bunker to attack someone, and there's just 3 Atlas suits staring you down. As soon as the bunker hits the ground level, they're all just stood there, and the only way off that platform is into them. It's just be like, oh, I win. So yeah. I wonder if I have to wear a reskinned person. It might be the solution to getting the mechs to work. Possibly. You can't kill players or NPCs with a mining beam on the Geo. Would have been nice. Yeah, kind of massive. We were talking about that, doing maybe a huge Titan Geo combat suit drop, and see how many people we can kill with mining lasers on like a bunker or something. Tractor them out of the way. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to track them when you're in it, but I see what you're going to. Just track them, drop them down the gap. Nice. My theory is the NPC regen crisis is because of the Geo. They're brought back as a Geo. I'm not sure on that, Shinobi. I like what you're doing with that, but yeah, maybe not. So yeah, it's kind of like the Soul Stone idea out of the Eldar in Warhammer 40k, is that they're being, you know, interned into that sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, Ralph's, I'm in danger. Yeah, absolutely that. So the two differ in mass, and that's about it. And will it have an integrated headlight? Yes, it will, which makes sense because it's going to go down in caves. Um, does the power combine? Exactly the same as other mining lasers. That's, I think, what we all would have expected, right? Why mine with the Geo? Geo can more comfortably deal with FPS minables, and its size means it reaches locations. And the jump pack as well, right? That's going to help. Why was the dark green chosen instead of the orange? We wanted to differentiate the Atlas GEO from the base Atlas. Argo is well known for its bold orange colour, but we felt green evokes thoughts of nature, be it mainly in reference to Earth's natural world, and this would fit in nicely with the GEO's function. We could have opted for neutral or earthy brown tones, but we still wanted the GEO to stand out against its environment. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Industrial standing out. Although, I'm not going to lie, I kind of saw that green colour, and the first thing that came to mind was Avatar, the like human controlled mech suits in Avatar. It was that sort of thing. I was like, all I need now is a really big gun with a like oversized bayonet stuck to the bottom, and that's it. So yeah, interesting looking thing. Um, what I'm quite looking forward to is I've just put combatless into um, into the search engine, and it came up with exactly what I wanted, although unfortunately the image has now been removed. So I'm just going to go to my channel. I'm going to find the short that I made on this, and we'll just take a second. We'll have a quick look and see what you guys think. I have tried a little bit of shorts format. They're just supplementary content. I know I've not put out a video for a little while, but I'll come on to that in a bit. So let's have a look. Shorts. Okay. So I don't want sound to come with this, and it's not, which is good. So let's close that as well. Okay. So this thing here. Okay. This is the bit that I put up. All right. So I'm just going to move myself and my face down because I don't know if you can see everything there. But let's just drop down to the bottom there. So this is the interesting thing with the combatless. This is at Wickelow's. Okay, so you go into Wickelow's itself and the combatless is there. All right. And it's basically, it is an Atlas suit. I'll just leave this playing in the background. So it is an Atlas suit. It does look like it's going to be like some sort of, you know, it's trying to be some sort of combat mech. I'm really not convinced that this is coming to the PU as a playable item. It might be like a mission thing. You might get to use it in a mission or something, but I'm really not convinced that it's going to be something that we can own in this current form. First off, it's Argo. Argo are not a combat manufacturer. Secondly, and kind of more compellingly, I think, A, it's got two guns. And CIG would really struggle to sell a one-gun version if they go straight to a two-gun version. So there's the kind of economic argument for it. And also, if you're going to put this in the game as a buyable item, you need to give players some way to deal with it, which means they're going to have to bring back selling either the Animus missile launcher, the grenade launcher, the railgun, or all three, or a combination of those three. So, yeah. I think that's that. Shinobi says, I'm with Execute this one, it's for Triggerfish. I think it's definitely set dressing, right? And that the post that you see goes up there, I had a little look at that guy's profile. That profile's been active since 2015, the CIG one. So I think the account's genuine. He might be trolling. He might still be trolling. But, of course, at the end of the last video was the Triggerfish thing. So, yeah. So I don't think it's. I don't know that. I don't know it's that. For this, it might be. You know, because if you look at a lot of Wicklow stuff, he's like, when you go there, what's really interesting is when you look at the displays, and maybe we'll look at this in a little bit, right? We'll go and have a look at Wickelow's Emporium. When you look at the displays, he actually pops up in the com link. It's kind of cool to have these context-sensitive interactions. And he goes, "Ah, yes, you like? If you bring me this, I will make it for you." So he sounds like he's putting this stuff together with the materials you make him. It's not just a trade. He's not sat on a stack of them. He's kind of trading them for, you're giving them the stuff, he's making it. And that would make sense with that, right? Or like it was some, rebel warlords combatless, and he's they've nicked it, and like he's then had it traded in, and he's a collector of all these rare curiosities. There's some really interesting stuff in the Emporium, so there's a lot of Easter eggs, which is kind of cool. Give us swords. Well, funny enough, you should mention that. I know that's probably why you're saying it, Shadow Girl, but yeah, there's that. I like that Wicklow is one of the, well, interestingly, the burritos and sodas on the desk, it's set. There's one of the cans, and there's a little placard that says, "This is the first human drink I ever tried, and it's delicious." So that's why he's asking for the cans. He's always like, "Hey, I'm going to make this and get thirsty, so give me a drink." And I don't know if there's anything about the burrito in there. I mean, whatever burrito you put on display after about a week is going to stink that place out to high heaven, right? Even if it's fresh when you put it in, and even if you refrigerate it, it's going to get gnarly really quickly. So yeah. Argo not combat, sure. Just like Drake isn't a pirate ship design front. Argo aren't combat. Wait, what's combat based? What's combat based about Argo? This could be, yeah. So the Rock TS was their triggerfish thing. It appears. But yeah. I loved his productivity machines. Yeah, there's some good stuff. Don't care if it's normal swords or energy swords. Need more melee options. Yep, 100%. You can give Wicklow empty cans and he takes it. Ah, Firebrand, that's awful. That's not going to do much for human-Banu relations, mate. If it all goes wrong, we know who we're coming after. Combat variant could be made under license by Aegis. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the problem that I have with that, and I'm just going to go back to that section in the video, and in fact, I might be able to find the original image, is that to go from that, right, to go from, or go to that, from this, right, is just such an own goal. That's just such a bad idea. Like, don't do that. Why would you do that? Why would you go to that mess from this awesomeness? Because you can imagine, like, if you've been in any of the Asperia ships, the Talon, the Prowler, you'll know that when you sit in, the cockpit is solid. There's no glass, and there are all these triangle screens that kind of flip around, right? This image, and it makes this complete video image of what's around you. So it looks normal in the end, but it's such a cool intro. And getting into this, I'm not gonna lie, if I don't stand into this and then all these pieces kind of come in and then the screen goes up and the HUD kind of flickers into life, it's just such a missed opportunity. Do you know what I mean? That sort of effect. And also I think one size 1 vehicle weapon for FPS makes a lot more sense than 2 repeaters. That's an awful lot. I mean, at least they weren't miniguns, right? At least they weren't Gatlings, but they're not far off. So that's why I don't think. Of course, I could be wrong. Happy to be wrong. If that's what happens, then I'll eat my words. But I don't think that's what's going to happen here. So yeah. Sad thing is the Rock DS being given a second mining armor is exactly something they should be seriously considering. Not something they should be joking about. You're not wrong. Or make the DS use a tractor beam. Yeah, something like that. Tavaran cockpits are the best. Yeah, they're gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Someone dropped the idiot ball and let it roll across the floor, yeah, and then it bumped into an Argo Atlas, and that was that. Having a subpar cool thing for eccentric players would be cool. Should be only available from Wicklow. Yeah, possibly. Like I get these collectibles and like prototypes and all that sort of stuff. What I found quite interesting about the image that they had, or that model, is that there's, I don't know why can I be in the middle, please? is that it's got like a 0.8, and then it's mirrored on the other side, so it actually says 80. But there's a 0.8 on one arm, which is kind of interesting. But if we go in across and have a look, I will show you. What I might do is, as we're talking, I might boot the game up in the background and just see what we think. So yeah, so that's that one. Okie dokie. Then we've got. Oh yeah, sorry, I was having a look at the mole because it is, as we're about to find out. We've got the Captains of Industry bit that's happening at the moment. It's it's more of a kind of information for new players, or there is a ship sale attached to it. Obviously, we have the Captains of Industry skin. So they've got this. I forget what they call it, but there's like the salvage guide and the hauling guide and all that sort of stuff. You got the workers paints. It's got a name. The Keystone paints. There you go. So I don't think that's that bad looking skin. I actually do quite like that. Look that. I guess I look that as well. But I quite like it as a skin. The interesting thing here is all the vehicles that they've added, the upgrade offer, the CCU upgrade for Warbond is the mole. And that's what I was looking at just a moment ago. There are also 2 other CCUs that are kicking around. I can't remember if I've got them. Let's go to them first. Oh, this is the funding one that I was looking at. Let's go home. In Captains of Industry or somewhere else? I can't remember. Oh no, it was on the home page, wasn't it? I've got to stop clicking really quickly. There we go. So the Fight for Life stuff. So yeah, the salvage stuff. Oh, sorry, the respawn stuff that's going on, the cloning stuff, is part of what they said their B stream. And if you remember, there were going to be 2 stories running in parallel. There was going to be like the A story, the main thing, and at the moment that's been obviously the fight for Pyro, the supply or die. I've said that in this next game, the focus, or in this next patch 4.1, the focus is now coming back into Stanton for the time being, and the headhunters look like they're going to start pushing out. I think it was the headhunters. So there's that sort of stuff going on. And then this B stream is this idea that there's the regen going on. Now, they've had said categorically for the moment, this will not be affecting players. So it's not the start of death of Spaceman confirmed. That's not happening. They've basically said that's a long way off yet. What is going to be, though, is a lot of those gems and stuff that you'll get from Hathor will be part of that mission to supply to Ryari Corp, who've been around for a little while. Not so much in the missions, I don't think, but you've seen Ryari Industries buildings and stuff for years. They've been in the verse, and they are basically now being part of the Imperator's drive to deregulate science so they can go and start solving this problem. They need some of these rare materials that are being mined, so players will be able to hand those over for whatever rewards are coming next. So yeah, there's that. Stuck cam, thank you. So yeah, there's that. Wicklow, purveyor of everything. Just don't ask what truck it fell off from. Yeah, exactly that. Ruben, good evening, bud. Good to see you. Missing Avenger, average similar to 4.0.2 in your poll as a choice option. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to end that poll now and see what you guys have said. I've ended the poll, but it's not giving me the results, which is a little bit annoying. No? Poll, please? Question mark? Oh well, whatever it was. I could see about 40-odd%, over 40% were meh, right? So meh's the winner straight off the bat. There you go. So 45% were meh, 28% negative, 25% positive. Yeah, that's not a good place to be. Thanks, Firebrand, appreciate that, mate. So yeah, that's not a great place to be. And I think this is going to be kind of the problem going forward. Now, one of the things they did say with the patches is that they're aiming towards the end of each month now. So that's when we can expect the next patch, whatever, 4.1.1 or whatever. And from what they said, they do categorically consider 0.1 and 0.2, as in 4.0.1, 4.0.2, as these patches. So it's not that we're going to be to like 4.10 by the end of the year. This is, the next one will be, 4.0.1 will be their considered next patch, the stability ones. So that maths isn't mathing. Yeah, possibly. But yeah. I'm positive because I've seen what we've had previously. Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things. So I had Spectrum up there for a second, and people are talking about 318, and it's like, this is not 318. Like, how quickly we forget how bad 318 was. 318 was catastrophic, and I don't think we've had a catastrophic patch since. It's been catastrophic for certain people, and that's different to it being catastrophic across the board. But yeah. So just back to this quickly then before we get back into more of the stability stuff. Tumbrel Nova is now out as Warbond, as is the Drake Corsair. So yeah. Interestingly, as well alongside that, I'm just going to see if I can go and find it out of the, I think it was the Spectrum stuff I had on. Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Let's have a look. They put up a bunch of ships for sale. So, unsurprisingly, but general release ships have gone up for sale. I think it's in announcements, I can't remember. So here we go. So they are selling limited quantities of the Hull E and the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. We've had 3 waves already. The next waves are April 3rd, April 4th, and 2 on April 4th. So yeah, if you're after them, you know, great, give them a go, pick them up. I'm not quite sure what the Hulley's going for at the minute, but having seen the price jump of some of the other ships, has the Hulley had it? I honestly can't remember. I'm ships that are that big, I'm just not interested in playing with. That much cargo, like loading my Taurus is an absolute ball ache. I don't want to necessarily go and do more than that. It's going to be a pain in the backside. But yeah, you know, I think if it hasn't had its price jump, oh, they did bump it. You're right, AV. I was thinking of just saying that. So 750 now, yeah. So absolutely, yeah. 6-month insurance for that price as Pilgrim. Yeah, I think. Like, people are so movable on what the on whether or not they want insurance. You know, I know for some people it doesn't bother them. For some people it's an absolute deal breaker. So, you know, I'm just going to move myself out the way so you can see those dates properly before I jump off the screen. As I float across the screen ethereally. Ta-da! So, yeah. So you can see those dates and, you know, remember to lock those in. I'd set alarms and stuff if I were you. Because I'm awful at forgetting stuff like this. So if you do want one, you know, make sure you're around for it. Similarly, you can always earn in game. But yeah. So, yes, there's been some kind of interesting... people in my chat know that as much as I can, I try to stay out of Spectrum. Because, and I quote, Spectrum gives you the dumb. Right, you get comments like this. The game isn't bad because of old systems, bad because the devs are noobs. Don't do that. Just don't. You know as well as I do, right? You've worked somewhere, especially if your customer's facing. Someone comes in and pitches a bitch fit because they didn't get what they wanted, and you're there going, you have no idea what's just happened back here. Like, grow up, dude. It's that sort of stuff, right? Just getting angry like that. It's like, cry more. Like, there's being frustrated is very understandable in this game, but just channel it right. Don't go to their house and then start sounding off like that. That's just, wow. Do you know what I mean? So what has this weekend shown us? Pancakes Hobo. So after 3 months of the year of playability, this is the problem. It's not been 3 months. They announced this at the beginning of February. So February, March, that's 2. We're now at the beginning of April. We're beginning month 3, so it's not 3 months. A patch release happened at the end of the week, and we're still stranded. So that bit I agree with. We're still stranded in pending moves, excessive desync. Yep, exactly that. The focus around these events and new ship sales don't paint a new picture that CIG has learned anything, or at least from the leadership perspective. There's elements of that that I agree with. There's elements of that that I don't agree with. The bits that I absolutely do agree with are, the focus on these events is problematic for me at least. The ship sales, they've got to be released at some point, which means the data has to be put into the game at some point, and we'd all get really angry if it was just added to the game mid-patch, and then we couldn't have them. So of course they're coming in a patch. Now, is the focus the patches around the ship sales, or the ship sales around the patches? That's an entirely different debate. We watch a 2S special where Benmar tells us there won't be a single magical patch fix at all. No, there won't be. Yet here we are this weekend feeling exactly how we have felt, how we have every first weekend of every patch since 3.18 live. Yeah, you've lost me there. It wasn't that case. I mean, 3.19 was still a struggle. 3.20 was getting better. By 3.23, 3.24, it was a lot better, I felt. But then again, I might just be doing... that. So yeah. It's still a struggle to do anything. We basically huff our copium all Saturday thinking it'll be okay, then give up for the weekend and wait for some sort of hotfix to fix the following week to at least put us back into the previous stability. I look forward to a locked thread and everyone telling me I'm wrong below, but I voice my frustrations and that of org mates. Yeah, I think this is the problem, right? Is that, like, I get it, and I think Pancakes is kind of right here. Please don't, by the way, I know I've said his name. Normally I don't. I'm tired. I've forgotten. Please do not go and attack Pancakes. Dude's allowed his opinion, or she's allowed her opinion, whoever it is. Please, please, please. It's not a personal attack thing. And in Pancakes, if you ever happen to see this, if someone sends this your way, this is not a personal attack against you, my friend. This is just responding to the points that you've made. And I think Pancakes is exactly right. When you make something criticizing, I think you are always going to get the people who jump in and, feel the need to defend whatever, right? The problem is that when you mix stuff that is inaccurate to a lot of people with stuff that's accurate, and then you expect everyone to tell you you're wrong, sometimes you can miss the fact that actually sometimes some of it is wrong and you've kind of missed the point, and it just closes off the debate, and then it just becomes everyone in Spectrum's just trying to white knight it, or from my point of view, everyone in Spectrum's just crapping all over the game, and it kind of, the argument just then stalls. I mean, if you want a bigger example of this working, America right now, right? And politics in general, right? I don't mean to single out America, just politics, right? You're either one side or you're other. There's no room for nuance. No one can discuss anything. And this is just a microcosm of that. It's just a symptom of where people are at the moment. It's like, oh, if you don't agree with me, you must be against me. I had an argument with someone else, so that must be your points too. And it's like, well, no, just listen to what the dude says and respond to it. But yeah, I think that's the problem, is that, when we go and sound off about this stuff, if what we're doing is constantly mixing in truths with lies, we can't then be upset that CIG don't respond to everything we do, because it's like, yeah, they've got to pick through 50% of crap to find the good stuff. So if we all made a bit of a conscious effort to feed back actually accurate information, like, for example, for me, I have had problems every single patch since 3.18. Correct. To then try and apply that to everyone is a bit of a misnomer, but there's that. Bring back PvP bounties before Stanton falls into chaos. I have a feeling that's the live event thing. Unfortunately, as predicted, it's so sad. Did no one at CRG really see this coming? And honestly, what have we done to deserve this? The new mission content has so much potential. There's serious thoughts have been given to finding the appropriate game mechanics and, above all, alternative ways of completing the missions. Sorry, but this is just awful and very sad to see in the end. Can we please get the game going in the right direction? Wish CRG learns and stop creating checkpoints for PvP Gangfest. Yeah. I think the other problem here, right, is that there is a serious issue with this, is that not being able to line up waypoints, to my knowledge. I mean, they might have changed this and stealth changed it and I've just not noticed. But if I drop my ship off 10k out and jump onto a dragonfly or in an Ursa or something to try and get there and just take a look at it without getting shot to pieces, without that marker it becomes very hard, and you've got to have a little bit of experience of actually navigating to understand what it is that you're doing and get there. You know, taking compass bearings, doing that sort of stuff. And I know it's all very basic navigation. I'm not claiming you need a PhD in it, but you need a little bit of practice. Maybe that's a video. Maybe that's a video guide, right? Is a little bit of ground navigation in that sort of stuff, and understanding kind of reciprocals and all that sort of, you know, back bearings and things. Maybe we'll give that a go. I don't know. You know, funny enough, navigation was my jam. I was a frigate navigating qualified off the watch when I left the Navy. I was qualified to navigate stuff, frigates and destroyers. So maybe I can do that. Maybe that'll be interesting. You've all stopped talking. I don't know whether I've lost connection or I'm just so boring that you've all fallen asleep. Is this an ASMR stream? Is that what I'm doing now? Is that where that is? Do I need to do another Boss Nass to wake everybody up? Because you're not having one, but... Oh, hello. Doing great work. Appreciate your trains of thoughts. Good night for now. See you around. Good night, Ruben. Good to see you, my friend. Sleep well, buddy. Cypress Star. Hello. Welcome in. Good to see you. Firebrand's here. Good. That's good. And it was 2 people still watching. 3 people still watching. Although one of them's about to leave. So it's good to see you. I'm pleased. So yeah. So that's cool. So this is the bit where I start to get a little bit about things. Oh, is this what you mean, the minor starter pack that we were talking about? Okay. Is this the skin that's in there? This is the bit that bothers me, right? Is we've got this wonderful new armor to go and get, to go and earn, to go and do the new event and try the new stuff and go to Wicklow and meet the Banu and see what is, for me, probably one of my favourite locations in the new game, right? And what do? They give us the armour to buy. Straight away. What? It's not precisely the same one. It's a different colour. Do you know what I mean? Why farming game when CRG can farm our credit card, TM? Yeah, look, socially, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's the other thing, Citizen Ninja. You're entirely right, mate. Is why make this? Like, I get it. You don't have to be a Corsair pilot to own this. But you do end up with a completely useless skin that I'm guessing you can't separate out and do anything with. Because why would you? Because it's one pack, right? So yeah. Just stop doing this stuff, CRG. I get it. If you had it like a year down the line, fine. But, yeah. So this is okay, so this is the Rockfall paint. This is this skin. I actually quite like that. That's a pain. That's quite pretty. Pretty, by pretty I mean industrial pretty, right? I don't mean like, oh, it's kind of, you know, that. I like black and gold, but it's a little mess, says Monsty. So says Monster AV. Jack Mason, hello, mate. Good to see you in. I'm not a fan of fantastical armor. Keep it simple. Yeah, I get that. Star Kitten armor winds me up, and I swear to God, if I see Jadoma or Jamlak in the Star Kitten armor again, I will kill both of them at the same time. I'll use one to beat the other to death, and then finish the first one off. Yeah, exactly. They could have just sold the armor and Drake paint separately. Exactly that. That armor just screams shoot here. It does. You're not wrong. That's the stock paint. Rockfall is town with silver. Is that the stock paint? Is it? Oh, that's okay. That's all right then. So hang on. So where do we see the Rockfall paint? Well, that's just pants. Boo. Excessive, says Jadoma. No, necessary. Absolutely necessary. So there. CIG can try, but I decide what I spend my money on, and I've stopped pledging. Lol, not another penny into 1.0 release. Yeah, I get that, and I think this is the key thing, right? Is if people don't want to, kind of do this sort of stuff, and pledge and stuff, then of course that's your right. But and I applaud you for it, right? I think a lot of us now, whether we like it or not, are at the point where we've pledged so much money to this game, we should have stopped, and we should have stopped some time ago, right? We're at the point now where it's like, stop, he's already dead. We should have given this a bit of a break. And I include myself in that. And I have not spent anywhere near as much as some people, so I get it. They should be at the point where bringing new people in is enough to sustain the game. As long as they do it not the way that they're doing it at the moment. As long as they do it in a way that they are, they're being honest about the state of the game, and I don't feel like the marketing ads that you see on YouTube and stuff at the moment, I don't feel like that is being honest. I feel like that's being, in fact, I feel like that's being rather dishonest at the moment. That's not the state of the game that we have. A lot of it is not possible. A lot of it is referencing temporary events that aren't happening at the moment. I just think it's a little bit kind of misleading, and I don't like that. Not with people's money, for a lot of people, unfortunately, they are, buying stuff is not just as simple as going and just splashing money on it because they can. A lot of people are struggling right now, so they need to think about the games, and misrepresenting it as the game that we want to have, the game that it's going to look like, hopefully more at the end of the year. That's not fair. The assault rifle in the pack has some nice effects, overheating with each shot until it's really hot and then it shoots lightning. Yeah, so the Volt weapons, they were added, I think, to this patch, and so that I don't have so much of an issue with. But yeah, the armor, adding the armor is a bit pants. Golem sales page paint section. Thanks, Citizen. I'll go and have a look. But yeah, if that's the stock paint, I'd be quite happy with the stock paint, to be honest. I must admit, I've got the kind of like the metallic purple for the Vulture, and that hasn't come off in ages. It looks great. So yeah. Ta-da. Sloth, do hope to get one of those new Volt weapons soon. Haven't been lucky enough to find any yet. Yeah, I know, they're not bought, are they? So you can get them from Wicklow's, I think. I assume from what you said that they are droppable as well. But yeah, we'll see. I'm just logging into the game as we talk, and we'll see if we can get the Wicklow's Emporium. But I'll talk to you guys while I'm doing that. Hopefully that's not too taxing. But maybe we'll change the camera over. That'll be fun, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I just feel like at the moment, I hope this stability comes soon, to the point where people have we at least get, because there's stability and consistency, right? It's like, let's get to the point where everyone's having the same experience. And I know that's really hard, different connection speeds, different rigs, different, setups, all that sort of stuff. People trying to play on potatoes and that sort of stuff. I only say that, I'm not taking the mick out of everyone, because I used to play on a potato until very recently. I was, or at least a potato graphics card, right? But it was a potato PC. It was a 970. And then I that changed kind of during COVID. So yeah. Rockfall looks like it should have been the concierge paint, so I got the starter pack instead of the standalone ship with the actual concierge paint. Interesting. Okay. Well, again, that's always a bit of a shame when they lock stuff that behind. Oh, you only get this if you get the starter pack. I feel like it's such a cheap starter pack for an industry thing anyway, that trying to paywall behind it is just a bit cheap, really. People experiencing their own unique game-breaking bugs is really bad. I've not had it, but I know others have, and they just stopped playing. Exactly that, Firebrand. And even game breaking is such a wide term. You've got the ones where the game stops working, and is actually broken. But you get the ones where the game doesn't function in a way that allows you to enjoy it, or allow you to do anything in it, and that too is broken. And I've experienced not quite game breaking, but near as damn it. Things like having a Taurus full of construction material that you can only get through salvage or piracy, so only salvage for me. And then refueling the ship, can't refuel it anymore. The option's gone. It says nothing to refuel, but it's not actually refueled. So I start the jump, and then find myself a couple of GM away from anything, and you just can't fly. You just can't get there by SCM mode. So losing all of that and knowing that I have to now refarm an entire, Taurus worth of construction material, and that's why I didn't get the skins for the supply or die event, because sorry if I'm looking confused. Someone quick ask me how the game's going for me. So, this is me trying to stand up using Y. That's not working. Not well, Firebrand. I'm not going to lie. I can't get out of my bed. Try F1. What, and then try and get out? Oh. EU servers are cooked. You're not wrong. Oh, and apparently I'm going to walk really slow. Backspace, yeah. Again, not wrong. Oh, so this is the interaction lag that everyone's talking about, right? And, kind of, I have got game audio. I'll turn it on in a bit once something actually interesting happens. But, I've clicked it. I've stopped clicking it. You've seen it click on the screen. Let's see how long it actually takes to interact. R_display info 3. Yeah, there you go. Something just happened. Hey. So yeah, ping wise, it shouldn't be an issue, but we'll have a look at it in a second. I'm just going to do 2, I think. There we go. Where's it going, Mal? Transit reflector, yeah. That. And the problem with this height is that jumping out of the window is going to do me precisely 0 good. I don't think you can jump out anyway, right? But so yeah. Unfortunately, that's kind of where we are at the minute. Is that 47 millisecond ping I'm seeing there on the same line as the server FPS? You can't backspace to hospital. Well, isn't that wonderful? Oh, there's a roof option now. Can I go up to the roof? Let's go up to the roof. I want to go to the roof. So yeah, this is going really well. Once again, I can kind of see why people are really knocked off with it. This is not the stability we asked for, unfortunately. This is more to the point. This is not the stability they said they were going to deliver. To go backwards like this. So yeah, just trying to put that somewhere where people can read the detail. because I know it's tiny on your screens, right? Especially if you're watching mobile or on a mobile or something. That's just going to be, or on a tablet, that's going to be awful. But yeah, that's unfortunately where we are at the moment. Oh, doors opened, not visually opened. You're not wrong, Sloth. You are not wrong. Servers are horrifically hit and miss at the moment. So I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of glad that I didn't rush back to the PC, because I think I just would have got really frustrated and then probably not wanted to have streamed. Yeah, Zaveth, the roof of the roof is on fire, which is fine because I can't get there, so I'm not going to burn with it. Although my chances of getting out the building are practically zero. I don't know. I don't know. This is not. Yeah. I think the key thing now is going to be seeing what comes next. I know they've promised a bunch of other stuff in a point patch, but maybe just accept, cut your losses, accept what's going on, realize maybe that this is not, this is not working, and that what we actually need is a, something to. No, the camera's probably given up the ghost as well. We'll just stick with that. And then we'll hide that. Boink. There we go. Yeah. So this is it. This is a 4.1 stream. A gigabit internet. I downloaded this patch at over 100 megabytes a second. So it's not the internet connection. This is literally. So I think in answer to the question that I ask of you guys on stream, my answer is no. This isn't what I wanted. I love I love that they're bringing new stuff in. I love that they're really cool big events. Yeah, just they said stability. So give us stability. Stop giving us new stuff. If all they were giving us was missions within the current framework, what actually works in the game at the moment, that's fine. This, well, not so much, right? This is not what we were after. This is not what we were promised. This is not what we wanted. I don't think, at least. It's a little bit, not good. But we'll see. So let's give that a go, and let's try that. Am I back? I'm back. Woo! Boom. Let's go and hide in the corner and see how long that lasts for. Yeah. So that's that. Unfortunately, it is what it is, right? It's just, this isn't. You can kind of. I mean, I don't know if you can hear the mouse, but you can certainly hear the interaction on the screen. The game audio's off, but I can hear that I'm clicking multiple times. I'd really like for the options to light up for me, please. Yeah. So no, nothing. I guess. No. Good. So that's that. I can't imagine at the moment a better example of this just not working, right? And the state of this sort of stuff. Again, I'm not going to go into it's as bad as 318. I'm just having a really bad time with it. I hear what people have said about having a really good time with it. I understand all that. It's frustrating, right? and it is what it is. It's just telling me that I stay away from the game for a little while into next week, and then start picking it up from there. Yeah. On that note, if you want to go and join in, I wasn't around last Friday, and apologies to the people that were waiting on me to be around on Friday. I was frantically prepping for the aforementioned D&D game. But if you do want to come and game with us on Fridays, 9 p.m. UK, so the same time that the stream started for you, but every Friday, link to the Discord's down below. It's a permanent link now, so it should work fine. By all means, come join in. Anytime you see any of us in chat, just come and jump in and join in. That's what we're here for. But yeah, 4.1 for me, again, it's trying to run before we can walk. Let's stabilize. Let's figure out what's going on with server meshing. Let's get server meshing to the point where we're, running nicely at full servers of 600 or full shards of 600 players per shard. And let's then start adding new things that tax and suddenly create, because the amount of entities these things must create in terms of Valakar, in terms of the minables and the loot that you get from it, it must be quite a load on the server, and I imagine it's contributing at least a little to whatever this problem is. And I'm hoping they will fix it. I'm hoping that it will be, something that they get away in fairly short order, so that everyone can go back to enjoying the game and, making use of some of the money that they've spent on it, which would be useful. Other than that, I don't know what else really to say about 4.1 at the moment. It's a little bit underwhelming, even though, that being my first experience of playing it. When I logged in to check my progress, if my progress was still there from last patch, and if Supply or Die was still ongoing, which of course it isn't, all I did was check my mobiGlas and then log out because I didn't have time. So I don't know if this is just a one-off, if this is today, or whether this has been the case for me the whole time. I am not sure. I just don't know, is the answer. But I hope that you guys have a decent playable experience, and if not now, then they rectify it fairly quickly with the hot fixes that we can only hope are coming next week. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say about 4.1 other than just this general sense of disappointment that, again, saying one thing, doing another. Oh, look, lots of new features. I want to be positive about this, but it keeps finding ways to disappoint. And I don't think I'm being overtly negative if, I'm saying that we should be past the point now where we can't get out of the elevators. I feel like that's a reasonable criticism to level. You've been watching Jiggers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. See you soon.